Hey everyone, Clive Adams back for another CEO update. And as usual for a CEO update, well, we've got to have the CEO himself, haven't we? Neil Dalrymple, the Bowls Australia CEO, joins me. How are you, Neil?
Good, thanks, Clive. And how are you going?
Yeah, going great, going great. Look, I must admit, I really miss the BPL, the Bowls Premier League, watching from afar where I'm stuck over here in the West. But it must have been great to get another Bowls Premier League back up and running and, all the effort that goes into those events. It must have been fantastic to see it all come to fruition.
Absolutely, Clive. And we certainly missed you, I can assure you, 100%.
Oh,
So,
thank you.
yeah, but no, it was. And look, as events go, the BPL is a special one for all of us at Bowls Australia, and particularly Moama Bowling Club did a fantastic job in hosting it. And I could tell by the vibe and the atmosphere at the club there a few weeks ago now that not only were the players and volunteers and umpires and spectators, they're all very pleased to be back watching some live bowls. And it was great to bring bowls back to the television and also through our streaming service. So getting some really great content, I think. And as you well fully aware, the BPL Cup and the way that finished up, and the BPL overall was seeing these fantastic bowlers on our screens and live was fantastic to witness. And yeah, it's great to have bowls back and the BPL back.
Yeah, and of course we saw a slightly different BPL, wasn't it? Because unfortunately we couldn't get the overseas influence like your Alex Marshall and so forth. But our Australian players put on a wonderful show.
And of course, we missed our Perth bowlers too, didn't we? Our Western Australian bowlers. So I know they did, and it just shows. Look, it's great to have that overseas influence. Obviously, great to have all the full Perth Suns team there as well. But yeah, we're fortunate in this country to have great depth in our bowling talent. So it's almost like when someone's not available, we can actually find another very good bowler to step up. And I mean, Ray Pearce was a very good example in terms of the way he played for the Perth Suns. I mean, we still had a really good international influence on that event with, the Irish bowlers and Gary Kelly and Jeremy Henry, Kiwis in terms of Caitlin Inch, and then we've got Ryan Bester from Canada, Kevin Anderson coaching from Scotland. And so, yeah, we still managed to have quite a few countries represented. And of course, many of our Jackaroos were present as well and bowled magnificently. And congratulations to Tweed Heads, the Ospreys, for taking out the event again and superb bowling in that grand final.
And we're not going to have to wait long for more BPL action either, just a few weeks away.
Be great to get back to Pine Rivers, just north of Brisbane. And, Pine Rivers have been such an integral part of the BPL from day one. And I really do thank them and their board and the club and their administration through previously Wayne Moffat, now Steve Radcliffe and Craig Lauman. I mean, the support that they give this event is just exceptional, and they love it. They just get right behind it. They're so enthusiastic, and they put on such a great show. And I really encourage people that are watching this particular segment to get to Pine Rivers in North Brisbane and come along and see some fantastic entertainment, and that's what it is. And of course, bowls, the BPL will be back on our screens again in April, which is always good.
You touched on BPL Cup as well. At the moment, we are looking for clubs to host BPL Cup qualifying rounds. So if anyone out there wants to play in it, talk to your club and get them to host a qualifying round, because the final of the BPL Cup was just a thrilling finish to an amazing event, which right through COVID, the interest we've had in BPL Cup has still been phenomenal.
Absolutely. And I think, we saw, again, bowls at its best in the BPL Cup final. And, whilst there was some experience on the green for that particular event, there were also some new faces. And it's great to get, for people to get on that stage and be able to showcase their skills. And Craig Mills from West Lakes in South Australia, what a final bowl. So, that's what the BPL Cup is all about. It's those moments in bowls that make it really special. And, when it comes to the last bowl, you can't ask for much more than that. So, yeah, really encourage everyone out there. I know that there's it's gaining momentum, the BPL Cup, year after year. And I think Australian clubs are getting behind this event, which is fantastic. So thank you for that.
Let's talk some other events, because we've got the Dandenong Club going to be involved in a couple of the Australian Championships events.
Yep, and I talked about Club Pine Rivers being a great supporter of Bowls Australia. I mean, the Dandenong Club have risen over the last few years in terms of their the way that they run their club, the way that they're hosting events, which is fantastic. And I mean, they've built a wonderful facility in the southeast corridor of Melbourne. And yeah, we're very pleased to be there in a couple of weeks for the Champion of Champions, and then a couple of months later, the Australian Championships. So I'm sure that all participants will enjoy their time in Melbourne. Be good to get out and travel and come out. And I think the local community, the Dandenong Club members, will certainly get behind this event. And once again, we will be doing some live streaming across both those events. So if you can't get there, we'll bring it to your laptops and computer screens. So and probably TVs as well.
And of course, the event everyone looks forward to, the Australian Open, Neil. Entries are open, and we encourage everyone to take the opportunity. You know, it's been a pretty tricky 2020. You know,
Yep.
We really want people to take the opportunity, get up there, take the opportunity to get away and experience all the fun that is the Australian Open.
It's a great couple of weeks, as we both know, and having been to most, well, probably every one of them actually. So, and having played in it as well, it is to play on these in these facilities, across the Gold Coast. There ain't too many bad greens. Unfortunately, I haven't played on those yet anyway, so maybe I'm a bit lucky. But it's a great couple of weeks, and I really encourage people to get their entries in now. We've all got to get our entries in, so we know, so we can put the draws together and move towards that fantastic time in June. So look forward to everyone getting behind that event as well.
Of course, head to bowls.com.au for all the information on all of those events. If you're interested in getting along live, or you just want to check out when they are and program around it, head to bowls.com.au and follow the links, and you can find out all of that information. Neil, last time we spoke about Steve Glasson and the fact that he had resigned his position as Australian coach. Today is it. Today's his last day.
The 10 years has gone quickly, Clive. And I mean, I did write something this morning out to quite a lot of people, and just, it was a good time for me to reflect, given that I've been with him across this journey for the last 10 years. And his contribution to the sport, we knew, look, he's a household name in the world of bowls and Australian bowls for that matter. He's been a fantastic player. He still is a very good player. He's won world championship singles. He's done so much in the sport. And I mean, the last 10 years of his life, he's dedicated his life and at the expense of, family time at home and watching his boys grow up. He spent the time on the road across Australia, across the world, and coaching the Australian Jackaroos. And so he's done a superb job. And 10 years in, and I said this to someone the other day, I mean, you don't see too many coaches spending 10 years in the job. It's a pretty ruthless industry, being a coach. And you just had to look at some of the English soccer clubs and other international soccer clubs. I read something the other day about Harry Kewell. He was there for, I think, a couple of months. He's been sacked 3 times now from his coaching job. So Steve his legacy will be strong for many years to come. He's been an amazing contributor. I mean, we've had such great success across the world stage in bowls during his time. He's obviously been the man that's led it, and but what he's done is created a culture within the Australian Jackaroos and his support staff that he's so supportive, and he is, in terms of motivating those players, he just does an exceptional job, and they play for him so well. So we're going to miss him, of course, but we're not going to lose him altogether, because he's going to be working for BCIB, where he's got a strong allegiance to, and we'll no doubt see him around the greens. And we certainly hope to, in the future, we'll keep him involved in some way as an ambassador for the sport, as a mentor. I think is one of those possible areas, a mentor to coaches, to players into the future. So won't be lost to the sport, but we certainly, on today, in March, what are we? March the 12th, 11th? 12th it is, yes, March the 12th. we recognise Steve Glasson for his contribution to the sport of bowls and to BA specifically. So thank you, Steve. Appreciate it.
Well said, Neil. An outstanding man is Steve Glasson. And, of course, Gary Willis steps up into the national coach role. Not much of an act to follow there, really, is there?
I was just thinking what I was going to say then. I thought, oh, well, good luck, Gary, I would say. So, no, look, I think the beauty of what Steve's done, though, is that he's been, he's had Gary by his side for the last 8 years as his assistant coach. So, in terms of a transition, I mean, I don't think we could ask for a much better transition strategy than for Gary, that has learned and watched what happens. He's very, very familiar with international bowls, the culture that's been developed. So, I mean, to be frank, Clive, it's a pretty easy job, isn't it? I mean, to move into, to shuffle in behind Steve and what's been set up. But, I mean, Gary is his own man, and he will obviously have put a different stamp on the program, and I can see that Gary will do very well also. And I mean, we'll be talking about Gary Willis in 10 years' time when he retires, won't we? And what he's achieved. So whether it's you and I or someone else.
Yes, absolutely. Speaking of representative bowls, there's been discussion around Commonwealth Games and even that big word, the Olympics. Tell us about some of the preparations for the Com Games 2022, sure, of course, and just the discussion around the 2032 Olympics.
Well, I mean, the Commonwealth Games are obviously in July, August next year in Birmingham, and bowls is actually being played at Leamington Spa, which is about 45 minutes or so outside of Birmingham. So bowls and possibly a few other sports will be located from a village perspective outside of the main village, but that's not unusual, and particularly in the COVID times, and given that's still prominent in the UK, separating people and having them in different parts of the country, I think will be a bit of the norm. But so yeah, the preparations are going well. I mean, it is it's coming up, it's sneaking up. We're in March already of 2021. It's not that far away. So from a Bowls Australia point of view, or Australian perspective, I mean, the preparations, and Gary is right in amongst that at the moment in terms of what he can do and what he can't do from a international travel point of view. So yeah, he's putting those plans in place, and trying to replicate those conditions as much as possible is obviously important. I think our coach in the UK, Andy Thompson, who's a legend of the sport over there, is going to play a really important role for us as an Australian team. His advice and his guidance is going to be really, really important, I think. So it's great to have him on board. He just announced his retirement from international bowls, and which, and he talks about now that his focus is going to be on his work that he will do with us. So I'm sure he's probably not a very popular person over in the UK, but anyway, so I think that's again one of the legacies of Steve Glasson, is that he's been able to bring Andy Thompson as part of our coaching group. I mean, it could be a masterstroke. We'll wait and see.
All right, and the Olympics?
The Olympics, yeah, sorry. And the Olympics, there's been a bit of media coverage about the 2032 Olympics. It seems from what you read that Brisbane is going to be a very strong chance in hosting that event, which means that the host organising committee in conjunction with the IOC will have some influence around the sports that could be included in that Olympics. The host country generally has a handful of sports that they can prioritise. So the potential might only be in for one Olympics and then you're out again. But at the end of the day, if we can somehow find our way into the Olympics, even just for one Olympic cycle, it will open up a lot of funding opportunities across the world, because individual associations, bowls associations, will then they'll have access to further funding through their international Olympic committees, local committees. So it is a huge opportunity for the sport globally. And if we can get into the Olympics, in terms of spectator profile, media coverage and commercial opportunities, they're all parts of it. So look, from Bowls Australia's point of view, we'll be doing whatever it takes to advocate Bowls' position. We'll work closely with World Bowls, but I mean, we will do what we can locally to see how we can get Bowls in there. It's going to be tough. There's a few other sports lined up as well, cricket, netball, squash, to name a couple. So the beauty of Bowls is we've got fantastic facilities in Brisbane, right across Queensland. So from an infrastructure point of view, a lot of that is in existence. So like we did with Broadbeach for the Commonwealth Games, by bringing in some temporary temporary seating and marquees and etc., then we can dress a bowling club up very well. But I mean, the beauty is our surfaces, bowl surfaces are really good. And as I say, our clubs are very strong in that state in Queensland. So we'll just give it our best shot, Clive, and see where it takes us.
Absolutely. Fingers crossed on that one. Tell us what's happening in the space in women in bowls, the work that's being done in that area.
Well, it's been it's quite a fascinating project, and we've got such a enthusiastic working party in this area. And our recent meeting just this week, we've agreed that, you know, the next step is to develop a plan and a strategy which supports the research that we've done. And I think I may have mentioned this before, Clive, but we had close to 3,000 people complete a survey on this topic of how do we appeal better to women and make it easier for women to play the sport of bowls in Australia. And so we got lots of feedback and excellent feedback. We put that into a report, which is a comprehensive summary of what was in this, what came out of the surveys. And now the next step is to say, right, let's cut it down and work out what can we do. And the committee or the working party agreed, let's try not to do too much. Let's do a couple of things really, really well and tackle the big issues. So we're just kind of in that space now where we're just looking at what are those issues. We're going to certainly bring this up with our friends in the state and territories in terms of the state presidents and state CEOs at an upcoming SCB meeting in April at the BPL in Pine Rivers. So it'll be a topic of discussion there about, okay, how we as a collective from a national and a state and territory point of view, how do we roll this out and just improve the sport for women in bowls. So it's an exciting time, and it's an area which I know other sports have faced, particularly golf, as we have heard and experienced and understand what golf are doing now is they really had a very low participation or membership level of women in the sport, and now they're working hard to make it readdress that particular just difference in the membership categories. So yeah, it's a very positive project.
Excellent, Neil. Look, we appreciate your time as usual. We remind everyone out there, engage with your local club, get out there and enjoy wonderful sport of bowls. If you're online, check out bowls.com.au for all of the latest information on all the upcoming events and get involved. It's great to be back out there again. Thanks, Neil.
Cheers, Clive. All the best.
Thanks, everyone. We'll catch you next time.